Okay, matrices day 3. So, determinants, identities, and inverses. There's a lot to learn here today, but first thing I want to do is make sure you remember how to multiply. So everybody, get to a blank page. Try to remember how to do this. That times that. Now first you might want to check me and make sure that I didn't make something that was impossible here. So, what's the first one? A what by what? 2 by 2. What's the other one? 2 by 1. Did I make one that was possible? Yes, because you check these, and if they're the same, it's possible. Since it is possible, then the answer is that by that. So everybody make a 2 by 1 matrix, which is the same. By the way, notice we said that was a 2 by 1. Same as that one. So it's like this, answer matrix with 2 numbers here and here. And for those of you that weren't here yesterday, pay good attention right now because I'm going to teach you the whole process again. So this spot right here is row 1, column 1, and you'd want to label it with a little R1, C1. What's the other one?
Row 1, column 2.
Row 2,
Oh, row 1.
column 1. It is confusing, I know, but now that I got them labeled right, it's like little directions they're telling you to get the answer. They're saying, take row 1 and multiply it by column 1. Here is row 1. Here is column 1. And what numbers go together? Well, the first number you see when you look at this should be the 2, because in our culture we read from left to right. And the first number you see when you look at this matrix should be the 7. And therefore the 2 goes with the 7, it makes 14. 5 goes with the 8, it makes 40. And the 14 plus the 40 goes here. So that's a total of 54. Raise your hand if you had the same thing as I did. Good. Figure out the other number by using row 2 in column 1. And compare it, please, with kids sitting next to you. Rows 1 and 2 compare. Rows 3 and 4 compare. Rows 5 and 6 compare. I'll pause for a second. Make sure you're doing that. Okay, so this and this go together. 7 and 7 makes 49. Negative 2 and 8 makes negative 16. This was a little tougher. 49 with the 2 7s and negative 16 put together would make 33. Raise your hand if you had 33 for that one. Okay, good. So that's our answer is 5433. Now, what we're going to teach you today is how to get to, this is the most complicated thing, something like this. Let's say we had that. That's about as complicated as you're going to have to do for your homework for tonight. Okay? But it's not as nearly as hard as it might seem. If your goal is to solve, to get A alone, then all I have to do is get rid of this stuff and get rid of that stuff, and then the A will be alone. How do I get rid of that stuff? Add that matrix. And how do if I do it to the left side, I got to do it to the right side. 3, 5, 1, 4. Then that will cancel that. Do you get all I have to do now is add those matrices, and then how do I get this 2 off of here? You can't divide in matrices. Times by a half, that's right. You times by a half. So I want you to add those 2 matrices, get an answer, and then figure out how to solve it by doing that thing you just said to finish it. I'll pause for a second. Okay, so you should got 9 plus 3 makes 12, and 8 plus 1 makes 9, and 2 plus 5 makes 7, and 5 plus 4 makes 9. Raise your hand if you had the same thing as me. Okay, awesome. And now, last thing, how do I get that 2 off of there? Times by 1/2. I put a 1/2 here, and I put a 1/2 here. That way these guys can cancel, and A is equal to whatever that is. Well, let's just take everything and cut it in half. Now, I have a lot of decimal answers for this, and that's okay. It's not that bad. So if I have Half of 12 is 6. That was the only easy one. Half of 7. What's that? 3.5. Half of 9. 4.5. And 4.5. There we go. There's my answer. And what was that again? A was a matrix that answers the question. You get how for an answer for A, we have a matrix? Yes, sir. Yes, there can, but if you put a 1/2 or you put a 0.5, it's just as good. Either way is fine. All right, so that's like one of the hard kinds of problems. The other hard kind of problem that we need to get you ready for, but you don't actually have to do yet, looks like this. 2, 3, 4, -7 is times by some matrix A and gives me an answer of 312. And you have to figure out what A must be. Do you get the idea? A must be some kind of a matrix so that 2, 3, 4, -7, when you multiply it by A, turns into 312. All right, very good. So first of all, this is a 2 by 2, and this answer was a 2 by 1. Do you get that I must have put a something by something matrix in here to make that happen? And what would work, did you say? A 2 by 1, so that when these match up, that would be a 2 by 1. Very nice. Okay, so there must be some 2 by 1 matrix that could go right here that would make that happen. All right, so now you don't just guess and check. Actually, you could, and it wouldn't be that hard on this problem because the numbers are easy. But here's the general idea, and we don't need you to get perfect at this yet, but do you get, we want to get this out of here. If I get that out of there, A would be alone, and I'd have A equals whatever. Okay, so I want to get rid of that number that's on the front of it. So how do I get rid of this? Would you agree that if I had a simpler number, like 7 times A is equal to 14, I can get rid of this by multiplying by its inverse. 1/7, or 7 to the -1. Very good. If I multiply this side by 1/7, I'm going to move this 14 over and multiply this side by 1/7. That way these 7s would cancel, and my final answer is 14 divided by 7 is 2. And I know some of you are like, I could have done that in my head. Yeah, but I'm showing you the process. Do you get what we did here? We had this original problem, which I'll make red now, and we multiplied by the inverse on both sides. So what we need to do on our green problem is to get rid of this. I'm going to call it matrix A, and we're going to call this matrix B. To get rid of matrix A, we need to multiply by its inverse. We can call that A's inverse. That's how you say inverse, with a little -1. If I do inverse of A on this side, then I have to do inverse of A. Notice I'm doing it also on the left, because did you learn yesterday that A times B in matrices is not the same as B times A? You can't reverse them. Did you catch that before? If I have A times B, it cannot be the same as B times A. They give you different answers. In normal math, 3 times 5 is the same as 5 times 3, but not in matrices. You can't reverse them. So notice I have to, and this is a really important point a lot of kids don't catch, I always have to put the inverse matrix on the left in both cases. Otherwise, it'll mess it up. Okay. So wouldn't it be nice if there was a way to do this with a calculator? And there is. So grab your graphing calculator if you haven't already, and let me show you some stuff.
Is there a calculator class where they show you all the tricks on the calculator?
There isn't a calculator class. It'd be kind of cool if there was. But I think they'd probably run out of tricks on like day 12 or something. But I mean, I've got a lot of tricks I could teach in a calculator. But it'd be a good thing for like a J term class. We've talked about having that little 2-week, or one teacher proposed 2 weeks. I proposed a 1-week class between the 2 semesters. And in that 1-week class, you could learn like anything. I could have a class on like how to become a power calculator user, you know, like all the little tricks and things, really cool graphs you could do. And, you know, like that would be a good, fun little week or 2 week long class I could run. So, yeah. Um, so that's something that, thank you for mentioning it. It's something that I might be able to put together over the summer, a bunch of like little 2-minute lessons like, hey, do you know how to do this? And anyway, I could have little video lessons on it. But okay, back to if you used a calculator to solve that problem we just had on the board a second ago, or I'll make one like it here, 5, 6, 1, 4. Do you get we're going to have to get this off of here? Times something, I don't know what. I'm going to call it matrix Q is equal to 9 negative 10. I need the inverse of that. Well, first I got to put that in the calculator. So everybody, would you please put this in as matrix A? You don't know how to do that? Oh, come on. I'm just teasing. I know that's a main thing I got to teach you today. I'm going to pause for a second while my calculator starts up. Okay, so my calculator woke up finally. So I'm going to go to clear this thing off, nice blank slate. Now matrix is right here. I'll show you with second that key. See how it says matrix? It's above that red key in blue letters. It says matrix. All right. Now you want to not put A into your calculator. You want to put a matrix into A. Kind of a weird thought, but they have a matrix A, but right now it has probably other numbers in it. So do you get which one we should do? Name it, math with it, or edit it? Edit. Very good. I'm going to go over to edit. I'm going to edit it, and I hit enter. I am editing matrix A. Is my matrix a 2 by 2? Yes, and it's one of the most common matrices that there is, so that was just kind of luck. If it had come up as a 1 by 1, you'd change it to 2 by 2. Okay, now I got to put in numbers, so I just basically arrow down, and I get to where my numbers are. There we go. And I want mine to be 5, 6, 1, 4. 5, enter, 6, enter, 1, enter, 4, enter. Now, I have made matrix A have the right numbers in it. Now, watch. You remember we did matrix multiplying the other day, and it was complicated, and all is the row 1, column 1, row 2, column 2, all that stuff? The calculator can do it really easy. Okay, let's say we wanted to multiply that by a matrix B. Okay, well, matrix B is over there, 9, negative 10. So let's go make matrix B. Everybody wants to save this. It's kind of like Google Docs. It saves automatically. You don't have to do anything. It's already saved. Okay, so I'm going to go back out, second quit, and now I'm going to go back into the matrix menu, and I'm going to do matrix B. But don't just do B, edit B. And edit B, and right now my matrix, oh, I did the wrong one. Sorry. I'm going to go back to matrix, edit. I didn't go down one. There we go. Edit B, enter. And now my two numbers are 9 and negative 10. Thank you. I'm going down, 9, enter, negative 10, enter. 9, negative 10. Cool. Now, all of that work, and I'm just ready to do the problem. Do you get, the calculator now knows what matrix A is, and it now knows what matrix B is. Let's say, in this problem, I don't want to multiply matrix A and B. I want to do A times Q to get B. But if the problem had been just multiply this matrix by this matrix, all you'd have to do is type in on your calculator now matrix, clearing that off, something wrong there, matrix, there we go, matrix A times, everybody do this, matrix A, you just went to matrix and hit enter. You don't edit it, you just hit enter. Matrix A, and then I go to matrix menu again, it's kind of tedious, B, enter. A times B is, boom, there, negative 15, negative 31. Now, I know it's a little bit of a pain to enter all those things, but matrix multiplication is on the ACT test. You do get a graphing calculator. You're now part of the, like, probably only 2% of the kids nationwide who would know how to do that on a calculator, and you can multiply your matrices with a calculator if you want. You just have to edit the first matrix, edit the second matrix, take the A times the B. I'm going to pause for a second for questions. Okay, so now I'm kind of going ahead here. That's why one of the reasons this lesson is so long. So what I need to do is show you, big picture, how to finish this problem. With me? Thank you. All right, so if I want to get A off of here, I got to do the inverse of A. Inverse of A on this side, and if I do it to this side, I got to do it to that side. Do you get what I just did? I did inverse of A to both sides. Now, what is an inverse of A? Well, let's see. Use your calculator. Type in A. Everybody get A on the screen. Stay with me. Got A up like this. Now we need inverse. You know what button that is? Yeah, it's the one the matrix is right underneath. So it's this x to the -1 button. Now that's A to the -1. Why didn't it turn it into its inverse? Because you haven't hit enter yet. There. That's the inverse of that matrix. Would you like to do that one by hand? Yeah. See what I mean? So it's really nice to be able to have inverses on the calculator. They can be done by hand, but unless you happen to pick certain numbers that work nice, they can come out ugly. So we're going to focus on, you do not have to do them by hand. You will have a calculator. So when they ask for the inverse of this, as long as you can put it in the calculator and hit to the power of -1, you'll be good. That's inverse of A. Now, who can tell me what to type in to finish the problem? Because that's just figuring out this. How do I finish the deal? Yes? Why am I not doing this side? Because they're going to cancel. Exactly. They're going to cancel each other. You really just need to do this side. Inverse of A times B. So we already have inverse of A. Now I'm going to say times B. How do I get B back up there? Go back to matrix menu. Matrix B. Enter. Inverse of A times B. Enter. And there's my answer. My answer to that complicated equation is the answer matrix would be I'm going to round it, 6.9 and -4.2. All right. Now that was a lot, and I don't expect you to have it all mastered yet. But I'm going to give you a couple easy ones and see if you understood what you really needed to understand. If I give you this matrix, 8, 9, 4, 10, can you please figure out the inverse of it? Use your calculator. I'd call it matrix A. Just write right over the other one. We don't need that one anymore. Find inverse of this matrix. Okay, for those following along at home, I'm going to show you how to put this one in. I'm going to clear this off, and we're going to go matrix A is the one I want to change. I'm going into matrices, and I got to edit matrix A and give it new numbers. 8, 9, 4, and 10. 8 and 9, 4, and 10. There, I got matrix A. How do I finish it? I quit out because Mr. Server said it would just save it automatically. It does. How do I finish? What do I want to do? I got to go matrix, matrix A. There, I'm done. No. Inverse, which is that button right here, to the -1, and your answer should have been that nasty, terrible thing. Raise your hand if you got nasty, terrible thing. Okay, good job. 0.22, -0.20, -0.09, 0.18. All right. Whew. That's the inverse of that matrix. For such innocuous little numbers, it's like really nasty, complicated answer, isn't it? All right, I'm going to just so you know how it's done. This is for the ultra advanced students who have super good memories, okay? This is how you would find the matrix by hand. All right, first thing you do is you have to do something to a matrix, right, to get this. So it's 1 over, this is called the determinant, 8 times 10 and 9 times 4 subtracted from each other. That's called a determinant. Then I multiply that by a matrix, and this matrix is not the original matrix. It's the first shall be last and the last shall be first. See if you understand what I just did there. And the numbers in between are the opposite. And then you actually have to multiply this all out. You see why we don't make kids do this on the test? Okay, so 1 over 80 minus 36. What the heck is 80 minus 36? 54? 44. Okay, times all of these numbers. So 10, negative 4, negative 9, and 8. So now I got to multiply this. 10 times, so you're basically dividing everything by 44. 10 44ths, and negative 9 44ths, and negative 4 44ths, and 8 44ths. And know how I can prove that I did that right? Let me show you. I'm going back to my calculator. And do you know that I could take that answer and turn it into fractions? You're going to need to know this for your test. Try it with me. If you got the weird decimals up, you want to change into fractions, you go math, and which one changes to fraction? The very top one. Enter, and then you actually have to hit enter to actually do it. Math or enter, enter. Look at that. But wait a minute. Theirs are just reduced. You get what I'm saying? Mine was 10 44ths, which reduces to 5 over 22. And mine was negative 9 44ths, which is the same. And mine was negative 4 44ths, which reduces to negative 1 11th. And the last one is 8 over 44, which reduces to 2 over 11. Okay, so that's complicated. That's how you find an inverse by hand. I don't expect you to remember that, but your calculator is going to be with you on the test and on the ACT test, and it would be handy if you knew it that way. All right. Now, there is one thing you have to do by hand. It's called a determinant. That's that first part of that other problem. 3, 4, 5, 6. The determinant of this, it's called DET. There is a way to do it on the calculator, and I can't stop you from using the calculator, but I'm not going to show you where it is. I am going to tell you how to do it by hand. The determinant of this is really easy. That times that minus that times that. Think you can handle that? This times this is what? 18 minus that times that, which is 20. What's 18 minus 20? Negative 2. That's the determinant of this matrix. That you have to do by hand. All right. Now, if you could find it in the calculator and you could figure out how to use it, go ahead. And she figured it out. I figured there'd be few that would do that. That's fine. Okay. Now, let's get why this is something special. If this answer ever comes out to 0, the world folds in upon itself, and life as we know it ends. Okay, maybe not that bad, but if this ever comes out to 0, do you remember in my long by hand calculation, I put it on the bottom of a fraction, and that's why if it ever comes out to 0, your problem will crash. I'll say that again. If the determinant, this times this minus that times that, ever comes out to 0, it will crash your problem, because in the midst of your calculator doing this, it's going to go 1 divided by that, and if that's 0, it's going to go 1 divided by 0, dies. Okay? So you need to know how to do the determinant by hand so that when your calculator says error, you're like, what did I do wrong? I'm going to say you have to figure it out. And what you did wrong probably is that your determinant came out to 0. Now, does this one come out to 0? No. But I'd like you to figure out this one's determinant by hand. It's not hard. What'd you get? All right. Did you get 2 times 5 is 10 minus minus negative 3, which makes what? 13. Okay, so that did not crash. Who can tell me what numbers I could change so that it would force it to crash? I want one that crashes, as in equals 0, and therefore it'll be 1 over 0 and blah, blah, blah. Yes? If we put a 10 here, do you see what he's saying? That times that minus that times that will equal what? 0. And then everybody try to do the inverse on this matrix. Use your calculator. I'm telling you, it's going to fail. I just want you to know what it does when it does fail. Because the determinant on this guy is 10 minus 10, which is a 0. So in the middle of this problem, your calculator is going to be doing 1 over 0, and it's going to say, I can't do it. So do the inverse of this matrix and watch it fail. Pausing while you do. So I'm hearing some kids say that it just says error. Maybe that's older calculators. You have a newer one? Singular matrix. Singular matrix is a way of it saying, I can't say the answer. Okay. So, bottom line, if your determinant ever comes out to 0, your inverse will crash. They are different things. Determinant is just this times this minus that times that. But the inverse is a really complicated thing you don't have to do in your head. But if you do it with the calculator, sometimes it crashes because your determinant was 0 on that matrix. Whew, that's it. You've learned everything, and I did it faster than last hour by far. So this is the part where we can start your homework together. So everybody, I'm going to pause for a second while we pull up the homework for today. Okay, I'm going to get started. For those that are still trying to find this worksheet, it's again called Matrix Worksheet 3, or Matrices Worksheet Day 3. All right, first one, let's do it together. Determinant, do you remember the determinant is that times that minus that times that? So negative 6 times negative 6 makes 36 minus 6 times 0 makes, so what's 36 minus 0? Done. That's it. That's the determinant. Remember, what you're looking for is you're trying to find ones that have a determinant of 0. And if they come out to 0, that's a special kind. Okay, this next one does not come out to 0, if I remember correctly. And I'm actually allowing you to skip problem 2, skip problem 5. There's more you can skip, but I'll start with those two, 2 and 5. Next, you may skip, come on, computer, yep, 2 and 5. And then you may skip this. You just type it into the calculator and do the determinant there, okay? I thought I wasn't going to tell you how to do it on the calculator because I know that there's a part on the test where they ask you to do it by hand. Oh, I remember. I know. What if we do this? 3A, 7, and B. Do you get how a calculator couldn't do that? But you'd have to be able to do it by hand. So, what's the determinant? 3B minus 7A.
Why do we say that first? 'Cause it's not
Okay.
three first?
Yes. Yes.
Alright.
Okay, so you'd start with these two. It does matter because if you do it backwards, you get a negative answer versus a positive answer. Okay, so anyway, yes, you can do it with a calculator, but when they throw in variables, you'll have to know by hand. Okay, so back to, with a calculator, how am I going to do this determinant? Well, first of all, let's put it in as matrix A. Everybody pop that into your calculator as matrix A. And then I'll show you where the DET button is to do determinant. Oh, you were one of those kids, huh? All right, fine. You were going to prepare to outsmart me, and it isn't too tough sometimes. All right. Oh, wait, I got to not put in A. I want to edit A. So I'm going to edit matrix A. Okay, and it's not a 2 by 2 anymore. It's a 3 by 3. And now I want 3. I'm going to pause while I type this in. Okay, I got my matrix typed in. I got matrix A in there. I'm double checking it. 3, negative 2, 1. 3, negative 1, negative 2. And 3, negative 2, negative 3. Cool. What was I supposed to do again? Determinants. So if you go to matrices again, who's found it already? Yes? It's under?
Math.
It's under math. And there it is. Determinant. Now, wait a minute. I'm doing determinant of something inside a matrix. Ooh, that would be like a matrix inside a matrix. And that's kind of like the movie Inception. But we're not going to do determinant of this. I messed up. I need to get this back to be a 3, so I'm just getting 3. There we go. Okay, this is my matrix as it's supposed to be. I got to quit out, trusting that it will save it. Now I got to put in matrix A, and then I'll do, I'll do determinant of A. So I'm going to go to matrix, go to math, go to determinant of, see, determinant of, and then you go to matrix A, enter, you get how it says determinant of A. I can make it nice and complete by hitting the end parentheses, but actually you don't have to. You never have to complete the last parentheses in the middle of a function like this. So, enter, whew, it's negative 12. Again, there's a formula for doing it by hand. We don't need you to do it for a triple like this. It's complicated. I don't even have this one memorized. So it can be done, but it's not easy. Okay, so determinant of the matrix, it's negative 12. All you got to do is write negative 12. Done. Yes, sir. You don't have to do it by hand for anything more than a double. So a double like this, you'd have to do that by hand. And it would be 16 minus 30. Okay? But for a triple, I don't even have it memorized. Don't worry about determinant of a triple. Okay, so then the last little section of this worksheet, I'm going to let you skip the end of it here. Pause. All right, so I do want you to be able to skip one more problem. All this will be doing is multiplying A and B and then multiplying B and A. Can you agree with me that they come out different? Okay, so then that's the whole point of the problem. And since A times B and B times A are going to be different, because remember we did that, why don't we just have you do one of the two? So skip number 15 and know then that the answer for 16 would have been they come out different. Okay, so then you can just do 14. We'll make sure you know how to put in a couple 3x3s and multiply them. Okay? So this is mostly a calculator skills kind of section here. If you're good at your calculator, then you'll be good at this. Remember how we started problems like this? We started by adding this matrix to both sides. Negative 7, negative 8, 7, 6 gets added to both sides. Anybody can add in their head. You'd be silly to type this into a calculator to add it. Come on, you're just adding numbers. I bet you can do this faster in your head. But if you want to, you've got a calculator, so go ahead. That would cancel off this. How do I finish the deal and get A totally alone? Times by negative, flip that to 1/2. Yes, you times by negative 1/2 on both sides. Negative 1/2 times this side, and negative 1/2 times whatever you were going to have for your answer here. So there's a quick reminder on how you do that kind. Okay, that's all the help I have for you for today. I was helping with number 17 there. So you were skipping 15 and 16. You're doing 17 and 18. I already did 17 halfway. So, all right, that's it for the video for today.